If you don't know who you're talking to, you're dead before the sale even starts. Every single prospect falls into one of 4 buyer types. And if you don't know which one they are, you're never gonna close them. In this video, I'm going to break down the 4 buyer types that you're gonna face in almost every sales situation, how to spot them fast, and most importantly, how to sell each one. By the end, you're gonna know exactly how to adopt your pitch so that you can sell anything to anyone. Now, this is a strategy I learned many years ago, and it's called the platinum rule. Now, I know that everybody's heard of the golden rule, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. But the platinum rule is do unto others as they would have done unto themselves, meaning treat people the way that they want to be treated. And this is Dr. Tony Alessandra's information. He is the one that really brought this up. Some of you have probably heard about the colors, the animals, and all that crap. This brings it down to exact science is how this thing works, and let's get into it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna list out the buyer types, and then we're gonna go through each one of them so that you can figure out who you're talking to and exactly how to sell each one. So the very first one is the director. So the first one's the director. The second one is the socializer. Number 3 is the relator. And number 4, this is the dreaded thinker, okay? So now that we know that there are 4 different buyer types, let's try to figure out what to do in every situation. But first, we can't figure out how to sell them until we understand who they are and when we're dealing with them. So now that we have them on the board, what we have done is we put them into 4 different categories because each one is in its own separate category. Now, what I want you to know first is whether they are fast, right here, fast. Do they talk fast? Do they move fast? Or maybe are they slow? They might move slow. They might talk a little bit slower. Their mannerisms are a little bit slower. Once we figure that out, we know what side of the matrix that we're on, okay? But then, are they open? So do they like to talk? Do they like to conversate? Or are they closed, meaning they're not big conversationalists? It's kind of a get to the point, okay? So if what we're talking about is somebody that's fast and somebody that's closed, we're gonna be talking about the director. Now, some of you may have dealt with directors in the past. Now, when we deal with a director, what we need to know about directors is that when and they're probably the easiest to spot because they don't like to conversate. They're very fast, they're moving quickly. They want you to move quickly. Why? Because they want you to get to the point. And so these people love bottom line thinking. They also know small talk. If you try to get into your rapport building, what you will find is they will cut you off. Again, very easy to spot these people. If you try to use form, forward, whatever it is that you try to use inside of rapport building and they cut you off, typically they are a director. The other thing is they are buyers. Now, have you ever had a director tell you, we need to get 3 estimates? It's almost laughable. You got to stop. You don't want to smile. You don't want to laugh. But when a director says, we've got 3 other people coming out, they don't, because they don't even have time for you. So when they call you out, that they already know that as long as you don't screw it up, they're buying from you. Okay, that is the director, but they'd love to get bottom line. Now, I like to pet directors. So when I'm coming in and I find out that someone is a director, I might say, Bob or Mary, whichever I'm talking to, you look like somebody that already, you've done your research in the past. You know what you want. Am I right? I'm petting that homeowner because I know that they're a director, that you know what you want. You've already looked it up. And so do you mind sharing with me what you have noticed, or inside of your research, what have you found? I'm pulling this information out of them. The next thing is, say, Bob, knowing that you're more of a bottom line type person, I'm guessing that you might want me to just kind of jump through the cliff notes, right? They will smile and say, yeah, that would be fantastic. You know what version I give them? The same version I give everybody else. I might talk a little bit faster, but be cautious because again, low and slow will calm them down. But I might talk a little bit faster to get to the point, but I will not ever skip steps. So that is the director. Again, closing a director down is very easy. If you cannot close a director, then they have already shut you out. They didn't like something, they're already thinking of somebody else because they didn't like something you did. Directors are buyers. They will buy. Remember, I'm a director. If I have you out to my house and I say, well, I've got some other people coming out, I will never call you again because you've already done something to turn me off. I'm done with you. I didn't like something that you did, but I called you out for the purpose of buying. I am a director. The next thing here are socializers. Now they're open. They love to talk. They love to talk and they're fast. These are partiers. They love a good conversation. These are typically the people that you better pack a lunch for. And the other thing here is they love to talk about themselves. So talk about them. Mary, you seem like somebody that, you really know a lot of people in the area. I'm sure that everybody knows you, right? And they're like, oh yeah. So again, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let her talk about herself. Now, sometimes, because you'll get a lot of this, where socializers are mixed with thinkers, relators are more in with directors. With the socializer, I want her to talk about herself, and she's going to love it. That's what she loves to talk about. The next thing is they love to refer. If you like to get referrals, then you need to talk to a socializer. They're like the billboards. If you ask them to go and get their phone and start giving you information, giving you friends, family, they will do it. The next thing is they buy fast. Now be very cautious with this because they love to buy. But with socializers, they start right around midnight, they start realizing what they bought, and they also like to retract, okay? So make sure that you close the socializer, but have fun with socializers. Again, very open, loves to talk about themselves, very fast, they're very fast paced, they move fast, they talk fast, and they love to talk about, see, I keep saying this and I keep going back to it, love to talk about themselves, okay? Remember that. Now, over here, the relator, okay? Relators are slow. Now, when I'm talking about they're really slow, and you're probably thinking, like the guy that I think his name was Ace from Dazed and Confused. No, he was just high. This guy is just slow. They do move a little bit slower, they might talk a little bit slower. And right now you're probably picturing someone that was a little older that you've already dealt with and they were really laid back, really slow. But what they were is they were a relator. They love to talk about others. They love to talk about others. They don't always like to talk about themselves. They think that if they talk about themselves, that they're very arrogant. So talk about their family. They love to talk. Relators always love to talk about their friends and family. They're also very submissive and they follow directions. Be careful here because you can actually just tell a relator to buy and they will. However, that may not be ethical. You want to make sure that you are the answer to their prayers. You are the one that they need. And so as we talk to a relator, if they say, I don't really know what to do, and you say, well, I know what you need to do. Just go get your checkbook, write me a check for $5,223. They will probably do it because they are submissive and they follow directions. Not saying that that's what you need to do, but with relators, that is exactly what you can do. The thinker, right here. The thinker is the one that everyone gets caught up on. And I write this here because it's the thing that if you want to, like, who is a thinker? Engineer, accountants, teachers. These are very analytical people, okay? So the thinkers, these folks, they just need to think about it. And sometimes when you hear a thinker say that we need to think about it, they actually do. So they are slower and they're closed off. Thinkers do not like to sit there and talk to you. They like to think, right? And so when they're closed off, you might find out that they don't like to get into themselves or into their family. They want to get right down to business. And the other thing with thinkers is that they've already done a lot of research. very few thinkers that I have encountered have not done any research on what it is that you're trying to sell them, unless you're knocking on their door and they hadn't had time to think about it. But again, thinkers, they're typically the engineer, and they need to think about it. When they need to think about this, and I love to pet thinkers as well, is I will let them know that I bet you've done your research, or that you're someone that needs to do their research. Again, when I let them know you're someone that seems that you need to do some research, they will also light up. They will have a smile on their face. And so what I'm going to do there is I say, so when I get back to the office, Bob, what kind of information can I send you? With everything that you and I just went through, what is it that I can send you? Just so you know, I'm not sending them anything, but I need them to come out and tell me. If they look at me and say, well, you know, that acrylic wall, I really want to know more about that acrylic wall. Oh, okay. And so what exactly about that acrylic wall do you need me to dive into a little bit more when I get back? Remember, it's always when I get back. If they think that you're going to sell them right there, they're going to stop. This is why I say when I get back. I'm putting distance between me and the thinker. And they might say, well, I just want to know really a little bit more about the warranty that you're going to put on there, and I'm still a little off guard about how it's going to stay shiny. It's going to stay nice and new for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And so right then, I will have information. Any of you that are selling baths, kitchens, windows, any of this stuff, you should have resources with you. And then you should be able to pull that out and say, okay, so is this what you're looking for? And I'm going to cover everything inside of that. And when they say, yeah, that's exactly what, okay, and so what else can I send you? And I'm going to go through all this. When I'm done, I have gone through everything that they want to research. And so at that point, I'm going to ask them, so with everything here, is there anything else that you might need before you make your decision? Nope, I think you've really covered everything. Okay, and so what from here, what is your next step? When I'm working with thinkers, and I can close thinkers down very quickly, very easily, because of the way, for one, I am an engineer, but two, they just need the information. I gave them the information that they asked for, and I'm just asking them for their next step. Where do we go from here? Now that you know directors, socializers, relators, and thinkers, now when you're going in the house, you understand who you're talking to. Now be very careful with this information. We don't like to teach new sales reps right away this information, because they will take this information and they will slice and dice their system. You have to stick to your systems, but know who you're dealing with and how to close them. Drop a comment. Which buyer type gives you the most trouble right now?